as Robin has just mentioned, my connection goes back to with the church when I was a young student in Sri Lanka, studying social science and philosophy, and meeting members of this church, because I saw the photograph in one of the members' house, and they were told to get out of the country because of a non-aligned conference coming in. They didn't like Americans to be there. Sri Lanka also was very doubtful about the Americans because Sri Lanka took a line to more the communist or socialist side. So many of you know the non-aligned conference. Do you remember? Yes. Non-aligned to America or non-aligned to Russia. So a group of world leaders, Anwar Sadat, Bishop Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, which is now 5 countries, not 1 country, Sri Lankan Prime Minister, a lady woman, first woman to become Prime Minister in world history, her husband, and Sukarno from Indonesia, and Anwar Sadat from Egypt. They all got together and had this meeting. So it was held in Sri Lanka at that time, in 1975, and the American students were told to get out. So some of them were unification members. That's how I know them. And I worked for them to come back later on through the Ministry of Sri Lanka in my office as a monk and an able person who could communicate in a few languages. So what was interesting is after that, there was a gap that I lost in touch until 1981, when I was told by a boy who came for charity collection, and he was an invalid person. He spoke with me for a while. Then I was in Malaysia working for anti-racist and anti-religious extreme stand taking as a politician 40 years ago. And he said, would you like to come for a conference in Bangkok? International Cultural Foundation. That's also part of the church movement. Robert Kittel, Ursula Wagenhoff, they were all leaders of that group. And that is how I joined them and I spoke one day during that conference where there are 500,000 Buddhist monks, but the only Buddhist monk in the conference in Thailand. ICF, International Cultural Foundation. Then they took to me the following year to God the Contemporary Conference, and I gave a paper with world-renowned scholars who were like my professor's age. I was only a 20-year-old young, I can't say old, young person. So I saw the little angels of Korea, the dancers. This all thrilled us. I saw the Olympics parliament was being built at that time, because we were taken from Seoul to Gwangju, and we stayed in Lotte. Staying in Lotte at that time, in 1981, was a great experience to us also. The development of South Korea, because as a social scientist, I was more interested in social science and the political aspects of life, apart from being a Buddhist monk. I've been a Buddhist monk for 60 years. Now, this year will be my 60th year. I had celebrated my 50th year in 17 countries 10 years ago, and I had the great pleasure to also carry on my journey. I would like to mention that Reverend Kwok was traveling more that time because Father Moon was facing a lot of problems in the United States after that. And we also supported by organizational official letters against religious leaders like Reverend Moon, Sang Myang Moon, being persecuted for a very minor matter or something that he has not overlooked. And I recall the great compassion that he managed to get from many sides of the United States of America. So, but we also saw the Asian aspect of his, that is the belief in the spirit world, the belief in communication, that there is a spiritual world apart from the normal physical world we see. Because many of us Buddhists who don't believe in a creator, it's hard for us to reconcile with something which is not tangible. But we believe that divinity is there. There's no question about that. Whether there is a creator or not is another is another issue. It's also found in Confucianism and Jainism, who also share the kind of atheistical attitude like the Buddhist. Anyway, what is interesting for me when I look at reconciliation work of Father Sang Myang Moon with Kim Il-sung, what I read about Kim Il-sung in the 1970s, 73, 74, 75 as a student was something unbelievable. To win your enemy, that is the best way. To do the best to your enemy is the art of not only reconciliation, but then to go further to create a dialogue of relief for each party. So just take the example of Obama. He didn't throw Mrs. Clinton away, made him the Secretary of State, isn't it? This is the way. We don't need to use the Donald Trump's rowdy way. Donald Trump is just like Mr. Boris Johnson, if I may say so, my way of looking at it. When we look internationally, we see that these problems of mega greed for power to remain, be like that is very strong. This is what we need to challenge. Sisters and brothers who have come for the case of unification in understanding the value of peace higher than normal peace that you see, because peace is a pathless way. There's no fixed route for peace. It's just the realization, and as many of you said, it's not the absence of war. Because we were all, according to prehistory and social scientists, we were all hunter-gatherers. We carry on that, even to the football field, even to the games field, isn't it? But recently, when we went to Lotte again for leadership conference a few years back, I was sent by here, I remember North and South Korea start to play Olympic Games. So when the first move take place, what in Chinese they say, 1,000 miles journey begins with the first step. So I did for the millennium, for Jesus. I am a Christian theologian, educated in the faculty of theology, first Buddhist monk to enter and get a postgraduate. So I have read the Bible more than 30 times since a child. I love the Bible, beautiful stories. And these stories makes you creative. There are different aspects to every scripture. You understand? Yeah. And what one of our friends just mentioned, that Jesus spoke in metaphors. Yeah, because his language was Aramaic. He was not a real Jewish person as such. By religion he was. And we could even say that his interest was Neo-Judaism. You can see from different angles. If you see the interrelationship of things, you don't have to quarrel much. Why you quarrel? Because you've got a prejudice in you. The hatred is hidden in you. It comes out as a conflict. A person who is at peace with himself will never want to quarrel with the other. Why should he? Why should she? Isn't it? So, the path that Reverend Sang Myang Moon has influenced China. Reverend Sang Myang Moon's journey, the highway project, when we read those days in 1980s, now we see Xi Jinping has taken over for political and power reason, and also to grab poor countries and make them under control. So the non-aligned had a concept, whether it is America or China or Russia, whether it's Putin or others, it's still the same. The problem is we still remain with the same problem. The subject of suffering from the day that the world was made or done or came out as a natural product, until now, we carry on. It is very important that we have the vision. Like the vision Father Sang Myang Moon had, today has been transformed, and Xi Jinping has been quite successful because of money. But we need to understand the valuable ethics and morality that is higher than all those values. If Reverend Moon did not have that kind of good ethical concepts coming from Korean culture, Confucianism, and also from Buddhism, I don't think he would have been very successful in this manner. So therefore, with my few understanding of Christianity and also with my interest in the Unification Church, I wish many more years to come for the memory that we will keep sacred on this day when we celebrate Father Reverend Sang Myang Moon's Ascension. Thank you very much.